Hi everybody, welcome to Sprague Woodturning. My name is Jim. So this week is going to be another processing video. Sorry about the wind, it's quite windy today. Anyway, I've got a bunch of logs that I've got to get processed. I've got more logs coming in, and of course I've got firewood coming in, so you know I need to get this stuff cleaned up. So we've got some ash, box Elder Burl, butternut, walnut, and I think there's some hickory in there too. So there's a good variety of stuff that I'll cover in this video. So anyway, that's it. That's this week's video. Hopefully you enjoy it. I realize it's not resin, it's not inlays, but you know, this is the backbone of every woodturner's business, so I think it's important that I cover this. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, and of course anytime you give my videos a thumbs up, it certainly helps with the analytics. Anyway, let's get over the log pile and I'll show you exactly what I want to do with each one of these pieces. All right, let's talk about what we've got here. These are a couple of blocks of ash. And this is pretty typical. People will show up, and this tree could have been quite a bit, or this bowl could have been a lot bigger, but it was cut off too short. So you know, if it's you know 18 inches in diameter, it should be minimum 18 inches long, and then that way it gives you the opportunity to get the largest bowl blank. So anyway, I've got a couple of those. I don't know how they're going to pan out. Some of the fibers have been ripped out of this right there when the tree was felled, and right here. So anyway, I'm going to cut these according to where the fibers get pulled out. Hopefully we'll be able to get a bowl at each side, possibly some coring too. I don't know, we'll have to see. These are kind of neat. I actually cut these off my property on the weekend. These are oak. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those. For now, I'm just going to leave them in full lengths like that. But could be some totally cool resin projects coming up. This is box Elder Burl, and as you can see, it's been sitting around for quite some time. I think the guys, I think Troy told me it was sitting in a field for 5 years. So it literally had grass growing in it. Now I've cut up a bunch of this already. I plan on making some funeral urns for the guy that this wood belongs to. So anyway, it's already in the kiln drying out. But I think that, you know, I need to get this out of the weather. So I'm going to cut it up a little bit and seal the ends, and that way it's there for future use. It's a large piece of walnut. Gonna have to probably cut quite a bit off of it. It's too bad it's actually a really large piece of walnut. But anyway, we certainly be able to get something out of that. This butternut, this smaller butternut one here, I think I'm actually going to try and do some hollow forms or vases with it. I am getting increased demand for funeral urns, so that might be something as well. This here is just an absolutely huge piece of butternut that's got 1, 2, 3 limbs, gigantic limbs on it. So this is going to look either really cool, I'm going to get some really neat pieces out of this, or they're just going to be rotten. So anyway, we'll find out about that. This again is another huge butternut one. It looks relatively clean, so hopefully be able to just get straight bowls out of that. And I've never turned hickory, but I was told that this is hickory, and you can see by the size of my boot that it's a fairly large log. And again, we'll try and core as much as this can that I can, but probably the neatest one is going to be this one, and that is, there's the base of this here, and look at the burls on it. So cool. And again, this is box Elder Burl, but I mean, if you look at it, it has been sitting around for a very long time, full of bugs, dry rot, you name it. The pieces that are in the kiln are actually really light. Box Elder's light to begin with, but it's never this light. So what I think I'm going to do with this is actually just cut all of these burls off and then combine them into resin projects where you've got 3 or 4 burls and you can pour the resin in on them. Those seem to be very popular, so I certainly got a lot of burl pieces that I can cut off to make those for future purchases. But it's too bad that this tree sat around for so long. It's really weather checked, but it's got a really cool look to it too. So, you know, if I was going to cast these, I would probably just leave them as natural as I can and, you know, just cast them. So here's a look at the other side. And again, there's just all these tiny little burls that could be cut off and used for, you know, whatever. But look at the cracks in it. Certainly well past its prime. And anyway, there's more butternut down in here. Here's a butternut crotch. Anyway, we'll see. I got to get this stuff out of here because it's in the way. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. So anyway, I'm just going to fire up the chainsaw. We'll start cutting out some bowl blanks here. And I'll probably do a voiceover on this one. If you've never watched one of these processing videos, all I'm doing is, so you're standing on the other side of the log. It's hard to tell where you want your cut to go down through. So I always mark the other end of the log. And then I can go back and kind of line it up with the pith. So what I'm doing here is cutting out the pith. And as you can see, there's actually an area where when the tree was felled, it actually yanked the fibers out of the tree. So that'll have to be cut out of there. And that, of course, is the very base of the tree. And there you can actually see it's actually quite bad. So just cutting either side of that, just trying to salvage something out of this. But it's important to remove the pith or the very center of the tree out of your work. If you're going to get a crack, in all likelihood, it's probably going to start there. Be able to get something out of that. Some cracks there. Most of that will get turned away when the bowl's made anyway. Still got the pith in the center though. Cutting up burls can be challenging as it is, but when you get a tree that's similar to this one where it's loaded with burls, you got to be really careful with your cuts. And there's a lot of factors at play. This thing's got some dry rot. There's some insects in it. It actually literally had grass growing in it. So you're trying to cut it for the best yield. But, it's important to get it out of the weather or else it's going to be lost to the elements anyway. Pretty interesting stuff. Not a whole lot happening with that piece, but the figure in that is just amazing. That's the center of the tree, and it was just infested with bugs, and it was rotten. So I decided to go ahead and cut it off. This stuff, of course, will be all kiln dried, so I don't really care about the insects and the bugs that are in it. And, don't get me wrong, insects holes with resin is actually a pretty cool look, as you've seen on my Peppermill Extravaganza video. It's amazing what the resin can do. But, it doesn't all make it. A lot of firewood. So what I wanted to do with this walnut first was clean up both ends. Again, this thing had been sitting around for, if I had to guess, probably a year before I even got it. So it's almost 2 years. But I've kept it under cover over the winter time. Right, so I just wanted to point out something. I originally thought that this was going to be an issue and that we were going to have to split the blank through here. But after I cut it off, you can see there's a big split down through here. So what I'm going to do is probably take about 2 inches out of the center of this because there's some cracks down here. I realize we're losing our light. And I'll probably cut this back to here on this side and here on this side as well. These actually go in quite deep, so you know I'm going to actually come in quite a ways, and hopefully we won't have to deal with those when they're on the lathe. So anyway, that's what I'm doing next. Again, just marking the other side of the tree so I can look down from the other side to get my proper cut. And by the way, I'm using a 20-inch bar on a 365 Husqvarna. And it's actually a good saw for processing bowl blanks. It's not real heavy. It's got some really decent power. You'll see my other big saw. I'm going to bring that out here shortly, and it's a beast to manage. Anyway, there's some knots on the inside of this. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue. That will be the center of the bowl, so and I'll make sure that it's the top of the bowl, this face. Same thing on the bottom here. But these are two beautiful blanks. You're not going to find those everywhere. So on to the butternut here. In Ontario, actually, butternut is an endangered species or a protected species. And so you can't harvest a tree unless it's dead, essentially. It's dying what's called butternut canker. And, you know, it's probably very similar to walnut. The nuts are edible. They are smaller than, say, English walnuts, but they certainly are edible. A little tougher to get into as well. Like I said earlier, I want to make these into funeral urns, so that's why they're a little longer. These would be cut a lot shorter if I was using them for bowls. There, it's a little unfortunate, but we didn't get the yield out of this that I was hoping. And there's a split too, so I don't know. This stuff had probably just been sitting around too long. This here, if you're trying to use the center here, this will be all turned away. So what I would probably do is just cut this away on my bandsaw before I even went to the lathe. But these cracks are an issue. So I don't know, I'll take them inside. I might hollow them, I may not. Alright, we got this up on its side, and it's actually pretty good on the back side here. Yeah, this split is tending to go like this though. Anyway, regardless, I'll lop 3 inches off the end of this, and then we'll see what it looks like after that. But on the other end, basically this is where the tree continued on. This piece right here. Of course, there's a branch there and a big one there. So, whoa. So what I think I'm going to do is cut this down through here, taking off a part of that branch up there. We won't be into that crotch figure yet. It's further down. And then that way at least we'll get probably 2 decent sized bowl blanks out of this side. I'll clean that end off until we get the good wood as well. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this off here, and I don't know, we'll figure it out after that. It's important to, when you're making your first cuts, to cut back to good wood where there's no cracks. If you have cracks before you even step to the lathe and you don't turn those cracks away, guarantee you when that bowl is drying, it's going to split. So it's important to cut that end off until you get good, clean, solid wood. So when I can, I like to put these bowl blanks up on, just a section of log that I've cut a V in. This one's been used for a couple of years, so it's chewed up pretty good. That way you're not bent over. I have a bad back as it is, so anytime I can get that stuff up, it's going to be better for me. All right, well, we're losing our light, so I guess I'll have to leave this till tomorrow. Supposed to get some rain tomorrow, though. Anyway, this is looking like the backside. The backside of this log is going to be probably our best wood. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on saving. This is, of course, a crotch section, so I don't know what's going to be in here. Could be some really nice figure, you know, at about here or so. I'm not a fan of dirt. Have to try and clean that off. So yeah, I'll probably just end up taking an inch or so out of here, and then that'll be, you know, probably 3 really large bowls on the back side. And remember that my lathe, I can probably only really comfortably do about 18 inches on my lathe. It's a 20-inch lathe, but when it's more than that, then the banjo is in the way and you can't move it under the wood. So, and I mean, hey, an 18-inch bowl is a very large bowl. So anyway, I don't know. There could be a lot of rot in here. I don't know. Anyway, we'll have to figure it out next time I can get back out here. And of course, the never-ending cleanup. Keep your work area clean now. So this is the next day, and the rain stayed away, so that was good. And that is my 3120 XP with a 42-inch bar. And I bought this saw to be used for slabbing, but it tends to be used to cut up a lot of this big stuff. The only problem with having a 42-inch bar is it's really hard to judge the tip. So any little back action will really tip it forward into the ground. A lot of times I think I'm good, but I'm not. I just realized I don't have my chainsaw pants on. Well, that's what's inside. Great big old split. Same thing on this end. I was originally going to go down through here. I still might. I don't know. Got this stuff going on here too. You know, it just goes to show you, you don't know what you're dealing with until you open these logs up. Of course, here's that limb. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go that way with it. You never know, people, you never know. Over the years, I've received logs, and you know, you stand back and you look at them and they look absolutely perfect. And then you cut them open and they're full of branches, or they're full of cracks and rot, bug damage. So you never truly know what you're dealing with until you cut them open. And you know, that goes for burls as well. Burls can be even tougher, because a lot of times a burl will look totally solid, and as soon as you lop it off the tree, it's, you know, the inside of it's completely rotten. So you never know. All right, so here's our 2 blocks. What I'm going to have to do with this crack pretty much goes all the way through, so I'm just going to cut it off on this side, and we'll be able to get a decent sized bowl blank on this side. And not sure what I'll do on this side. Maybe a hollow form. I'll have to look at it and see how structurally sound it is. Bit of crotch grain. It's actually quite hard for butternut. Butternut is not typically hard. And down through those 2 crotches was certainly a chore. This is the one that I think we're going to get a decent sized bowl blank out of. Missed my cut a little bit there. Oh well. And again, got some crotch figure. Nothing spectacular by any stretch of the imagination. But you can see on this end that it's fairly solid. So anyway, we'll round that on the bandsaw and see what we got. I might have to cut that up a little more because my back can't take much more of this heavy lifting here. But anyway, on to number 2. Switch back to my smaller saw. I actually hit a nail with the my larger saw. I was just too lazy to sharpen it. So I went back to my smaller saw. It's easier on the back anyway. Okay, so here's what we got. As you can see, we got some, this is going to have to be cut off. You see here, if you hit that hard enough with an axe, it'll probably come right off. So anyway, I'll trim that off, trim this up. This is still going to be a decent sized bowl blank. This one on the other side though, well, sorry, it's not really the best lighting. Anyway, that one's got all that kind of business going on. It looks okay up here. You know, if you look at this, this looks like a good deep bowl blank, but as soon as you come around and look at it, you go, wow, I guess that's not going to happen. Might be able to salvage something out of it, maybe hollow form. This side, again, just full of cracks, so there's not a whole lot that's probably going to be done with this. You know, do yourself a favor and stay away from trying to turn sketchy wood. Your life's not worth it. Anyway, safety at the lathe is paramount. You try and turn something like this that isn't safe, then you could pay for it dearly. All right, so that's what we got there and there. Probably split that in half, maybe 2 hollow forms. I'm not too sure about this or how deep that goes in. If that only goes in a little ways, then we might be all right. This piece here, I think if I cut this off here, might be able to get a block out of that as well. Yeah, my neighbor was just here and said there was a bear like literally just around the corner here. So every time I shut the saw off, I'll have a look around. Highly unlikely it would be around with a chainsaw, but it is the spring of the year and they are hungry. So I'm hoping that this is going to be the money log here. Didn't look to be too much wrong with it. Again, I probably could have used my bigger saw here because my my 20-inch bar wasn't it's just a little bit too short. Cut the first one off at 18 inches. I think I did the same thing for the other one. And then I think I split the difference for the other 2. Yeah, that's what I did. And it never fails. Run out of gas. Well, sometimes you've really got no choice as to what you're going to do with your blanks or with your logs. Every one of them has that big split in it, so I've got to go this way with them. It's going to be quite a deep bowl. Might actually cut a platter out of each side of this. We'll have to see. But anyway, every one of them is split like that, so you know, got to go with the flow. You've probably noticed by now that I'm using pallets to cut on. As long as you stay in between the boards, then you're fine. These are just too heavy to pick up, so I had to roll them onto something. You could do the same thing with logs. Just cut a V-groove out of a log and kind of roll it up on that. I do this a fair bit. These are old pallets, so I didn't really care if they get cut up, to be honest with you. Just a little short on one side here. I thought I would show this as well. If you don't have a big bandsaw to cut up your blanks, then of course you can round stuff with the chainsaw as well. It's actually good practice. And after you've done it for a while, you know, you can get pretty darn good at it. All right, well, if I had to guess, I'd say after coring, we're going to have probably about 60 bowls here. Something like that, and some really nice large ones as well. As far as the log pile is concerned, didn't get into the hickory. That's going to have to be left for another day. And of course that box Elder Burl up there, that will have to be left for another day too. So I just don't have room for it, as you see in the shop. So anyway, we'll get those processed on the bandsaw. And once those are processed, maybe we'll come back and get at least this hickory. And of course, the never-ending cleanup. Alright, so on to the bandsaw. The blades that I'm using here are from R&D bandsaw blades. They're here in Mississauga, Ontario. I think it's Mississauga. And they're 1/2 inch, 3 teeth per inch, and they're actually called a wood turner's bandsaw blade or a furniture maker's blade. They're very aggressive. They have a wide kerf, so it's good for cutting green wood. And what I like to do is use a 5/8 inch spade bit and drill a hole for where the live center on the tailstock is going to sit in the base of the bowl. That way, when you've got a big heavy blank, you can lift it up and set it on the live center that's in the tailstock, and you don't have to really fight with it so much. That first one was Butternut, by the way. This here is Walnut. And Walnut is certainly a lot harder than Butternut is. The guide for that saw should be down. I've got it kind of left up so that it gives a better viewing for you guys at home. But, that should be pretty darn close to the surface of the wood while you're doing this. It is important to see your line, too. All right, so I thought I'd just give you a little update here. So we've got 11 bowl blanks over here, and I actually really hope to get at least 3 bowls from each one. Like this one, maybe only 2. This one's quite deep, so you might only get 2 as well in total. I still got 9 more blanks to process for bowls. There's 4 back in there, piece of walnut, these butternut ones. Then I'll start processing these hollow forms and getting them ready. As far as this burl is concerned, I think I'm just going to maybe cut this in half. This would be a couple of really nice bowl blanks, future bowl blanks, and then I'll probably throw them in a kiln. I might actually clean this up too. But anyway, I'll show a little bit of that. And then that'll be the end of the first video. This is ash. It's too bad. I really like the look of ash with the sapwood and the heartwood look, contrasting colors. It's quite nice. It's too bad that the emerald ash borer has absolutely destroyed pretty much all the ash in the area here. I don't know if it's going to be a extinct species or what. And you can actually see some bug holes there in the bark. So, you can't leave this too long or else you're going to lose it. All right, so I just want to elaborate on what I said earlier. So this is a piece of ash that was brought to me by a customer. And, I try to educate my customers that if they're going to bring me wood, to bring it to me the right way. So, this thing could have been 69 inches in diameter, but it was cut off at 13.5. And further to that, it sat around in the sun for I don't know how long. This is actually anchor seal. I put that on there to prevent any more cracking. So, I'm going to have to actually probably turn this into probably a 12-inch bowl blank when it should have been a 16-inch bowl. So it's unfortunate, but if you're not a wood turner and you don't really know what you're doing as far as prepping logs, then it's understandable how it happens. I should actually say that those bug holes, those are not from the ash borer. I don't know what they're from, but the emerald ash borer didn't get to this one. This tree was taken down because it was overhanging a house, so it had to be removed. And of course, while I'm roughing out bowls, I'll take the time to salvage any of the center pieces that were cut out of the work. This is butternut, and I'm just, just trying to make it relatively even thickness. That way it dries evenly without cracks. But I usually always try to attempt this and get it done all in one shot and give it a fresh, clean cut on the end. It's a beautiful black walnut here. Yeah, it's a pity to waste any of this. I do like to cut off the sapwood. I don't really care. I mean, that's a nice little cutting board. Good size. And again, with this, this box Elder Burl, it's just a difficult thing to figure out what to do with. So I just decided to go for these little burls, and we'll see. We'll see what we can do with it. Cutting up some hollow forms here. Now I've got the screwdriver driven down into the pith of the tree, the very center of the tree. And again, most bandsaw blades are not going to be able to do what you're seeing down here. This is green wood. It's cutting through a full 12 inches of it. And, it goes through it like butter. Anyway, there's a link in the description below if you're curious and you want to get these blades. But I do highly recommend them. They're very good blades. And I break very few of these as well compared to some others. Onto the box elder again. And still always trying to, what should I do with this? I don't know. I don't want to ruin this. What I do, it can be quite challenging sometimes, and then you just got to take a leap of faith and go, well, hopefully this is correct. I made the decision that I was going to actually try and make some book mat sets. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. They would look really cool, either inverted or just a straight up tabletop cast in resin. So anyway, that's the decision I made. Hopefully it was the right one. I ended up cutting this blank twice because after I cut it initially, when I got looking at it, I just know it's just too rotten. So I decided to take a couple inches off of it and redo it. I was just touching those areas and it was just falling apart. I figured this would be a decent hollow form or a bowl where we could stick resin on one side of it. There's quite a big void there, so that may work out well. Here I am doing some more book mat sets. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I decided to do with this burl. Hopefully I didn't make a mistake. And when I say invert it, I mean turning the spikes inwards and then casting that in the resin as well. Or just leave them normal. So I thought I would show this. This is actually my offcut bin. And I move them around. That's the one that I've been using for a couple of years now. but I actually want to clear that out of there and move my oval cutting rig over in that location over there. So anyway, if you're the first time here at one of these videos that I do, these processing videos, this is what I do with all the offcuts. And if it doesn't get used to make something else, then it gets burned in my my wood stove. Let's go have a look at our bowl blanks. Well, that's it. We're finally all done with the bandsaw. Now, what did we end up with? We ended up with 20 large bowl blanks, and I'm hoping that, you know, probably 15 of those will yield 3 bowls each, and maybe just the other ones you can get 2 total out of it. So anyway, we'll see, and that's going to actually be in the second video. 4 of these box Elder Burl blanks. I didn't round that one. A couple of big ones, big one down here too. This originally was 13 inches big, but it was just so rotten. So I figured I would trim that back and get rid of some of this bug stuff you see here. That's a book match set. Again, you can put those together like that and then cast this in resin, or you can flip this around and then cut this out and cast that in resin. There is, I think there's 5 of these big butternut blanks. And now what I'll probably do right away is put the anchor seal right on the ends of these so that they don't split any further. Into there. And over here, here's our book match sets. I was going to leave these as big bowl blanks, and I said, yeah, I think I want to cut these up and do something with resin. So you can leave something like this in this configuration, and then of course you can stick burl in here or whatever you want to do. In all likelihood, I might even trim this back to here. That way they can be together. Same thing on this side. And again, you can invert them like these 2 here. And again, like I said, just maybe stick some burl in here and then cast it. And then you've got a really unique looking platter. And this is another book match set here. Here's some 3 butternut peppermill blanks. This is a nice little block of walnut. Same thing, butternut here too. And again, all these little odds and sods that will, of this box Elder Burl, that will eventually end up going into projects. That was my toaster oven. I'm still stabilizing over there. So anyway, that's it. Yeah. Tell me what you think. All right, that's it for the video. As far as roughing out from the chainsaw and rounding on the bandsaw, I originally had planned on doing this all in one video, but it's just, there's just too much to do. There's no way. I mean, the video would be 2 hours long. So, you know, I'm going to break it up. So the next video that I'm going to do is actually the shaping of the bowls, coring, and prepping things for the drying shed. So, yeah, this box Elder Burl is just really, really cool stuff. Spikes, awesome texture. We'll make some pretty cool things in the future. And again, a lot of this stuff I'll just incorporate, put a whole bunch of them together in a bucket, pour the resin in, and do some bowls that way. So yeah, anyway, let me know what you think in the description down below. Don't forget that in the comments down below, that's where we're going to go to get our next winner. When I hit 25,000 subscribers, we'll go from the comments and pick from each video. And that's how you get a chance to win your bowl. So that'll happen at 25,000. Hopefully by the time this airs, I'll be over 21,000 anyway. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And I guess that's it for now. I'm going to try and put out an inlay video before the next video in this series. So that's why it's important to have your bell notification on. That way you know when the video goes up so you can watch it. Anyway, don't forget about our sponsors in the description down below. Sandpaper.ca, Designer Epoxy, and of course Starbond Adhesives to get your discount codes. And I guess that's it. Till next week, take care, stay safe, Don't forget that thumbs up and don't forget your bell. You'll know when I put up a new video. See ya.